Good morning, boys and girls. It is day 5. This is your math lesson for today. We are going to be using division and the associative property to test for factors and to observe patterns. You need a piece of paper and a pencil. I want you to write down whatever it is I write. So for problem number 1, we're going to use division to find factors of larger numbers. So just a little review. If we write 28 equals 7 times what? If I said find the unknown factor, you would say 4. How did you know the unknown factor? Well, most of you know your 4's facts. Some of you might say 28 divided by 7 is 4. If I asked, is 10 a factor of 28? Hopefully most of you would say no. How do you know? Well, 2 times 10 is 20. 3 times 10 is 30. So if you divide 28 by 10, you're going to get a remainder. Now, how can I find out if 3 is a factor of 54? Well, if I know my 3's facts all the way up to 12, 3 times 12 is 36. So knowing my 3's facts isn't going to help me with these bigger numbers. So one strategy to use is to divide 54 by 3. If we get a remainder, well, then 3 is not going to be a factor. If we don't get a remainder, then we know 3 is a factor. So let's divide. 3 goes into 5 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. Is 2 less than 3? Yes. So let's bring down that 4 and start again. Can 3 go into 24? Yes. How many times? 8. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 minus 24 is 0. Is 0 less than 3? Yep. Is there anything else to bring down? No. Do we have a remainder? No. Therefore, 3 is a factor of 54. Also, 18 is a factor of 54. All right, next problem. We're going to use the associative property to find additional factors of larger numbers. So we're still working with 54. Is it necessary to divide to figure out if 5 is a factor of 54? Well, no, because when you count by 5s, each number ends with a 5 or a 0. 54 does not end with a 0 or a 5. So I know right away 5 is not a factor of 54. We needed to do long division to find out if 3 was a factor for 54. But for 2 and 5, we don't need to divide. 5, we know it doesn't work because 54 ends with a 4, not a 0 or a 5. But when I look at the ones place, In 54, I see a 4. 4 is an even number. And I know that all even numbers have a factor of 4. So if the digit is in the ones place and it's even, 2 will be a factor. If the digit in the ones place is odd, then 2 will not be a factor. So we can use those patterns for the numbers 2 and 5. So 2 would be a factor, 5 would not. Now, how can we know if 6 is a factor of 54? Well, you should know the number sentence. 54 equals 6 times 9. Now, earlier, we saw that 2 is a factor of 54 and 3 was a factor of 54. So, using the associative property, I can say that 6 is the same as 2 times 3 times 9. And remember, I can regroup. So I have 2 times 3 times 9. I can regroup 3 times 9. So what is 3 times 9? It's 27. And 2 times 27 is equal to 54. If you don't believe me, you can work it out on the side. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So then we know that from up here, 3 was a factor, 18 was a factor. We know that 6 is a factor, 9's a factor. We know that 27 is going to be a factor. And obviously we know 1 will be a factor. 54 will be a factor. So just by using the associative property, I can come up with many other factors. Now, is it tricky? Yes, it most definitely is. I find if it's not a basic fact, the easiest way to figure out if it's a factor, if I can't use the rules of like 2 and 5, I divide. So what I need you to do right now is to grab your day 5, lesson number 23, homework worksheet. Pause if you don't have it with you. Put your name on top. And let's read the directions. Explain your thinking or use division to answer the following. A, is 2 a factor of 72? If I underline the digit in the ones place, it's a 2. That's an even number. So I know that 2 is going to be a factor of 72. So I've got to explain it. I'm going to write yes, 72 is an even number. 2 is a factor of every even number. Now, we go down to C. Is 3 a factor of 72? Well, I don't know. So what am I going to do? Division. I'm going to divide 72 by 3. Can 3 go into 7? Yes. How many times? 2. 2 times 3 is 6. I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. Check. Is 1 less than 3? Yes. I'm going to bring down my 2. I'm going to start all over again. Can 3 go into 12? Yes. How many times? 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. Is 0 less than 3? Oh yeah. Anything left to bring down? No. So do I have a remainder? No. So I can then say that 24 times 3, yes, 3 is a factor. If I had had a remainder, I would have said, no, it is not. So go ahead and do the rest of this page. If you can't explain it with words, please, by all means, go ahead and do the long division. Return this on Thursday when you come back to school.